So, Songbird, what's a couple of them?
Alice.
Alice,
Yeah. Just Rifle.
Rifle? Okay. I was called the line for Songbird.
Did you want me to play Songbird? Is that one?
Unless,
Hey.
I mean,
You want to do something?
A 10-inch spicy.
like this is
The 10-inch slice of spice, is that what it is?
10-inch spicy, I guess they call it.
The slice of spice, is that the one you're talking
Hey, Gator.
about?
I get tired of playing that.
Oh, yeah.
Feed's up.
Slice of spice.
The Talk Huntington
Okay.
feed is up.
Okay, so how do I,
You should just be able to go and share it.
just gotta go and shoot?
Maybe what, 12-inch,
Yeah.
and I can take it out, right?
12-inch, yeah, of course. Does anyone else want to put any food in over here? Okay. You want to put some food in you? Broccoli bites?
Ain't chomping
Everybody good? All right, welcome to Talk Huntington. Everybody's favorite gator about town, Alligator Jackson.
All right, guys, this is so exciting. We are live. We are actually, I've always wanted to say that all my life. Live, like anybody. And it's not Saturday night, but it is actually, Wednesday night, but we are live in Giovanni's on 20th Street. Hey, Mike Stewart's here with me. He's running for Secretary of
Attorney General.
Secretary of State. We got this show up in London.
Attorney General.
It's a different kind of, I knew that.
We have an announcement to make.
I need to tell some folks.
Yeah. Should we call Ryan Weld?
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. That's why we never do lives, is because do that. But I'm definitely gonna get your name right. This is Jessica Huff.
You got it, brother.
We got Sam Eplin here tonight too, as well. He's a musical guest. So we're gonna have a party down here. So if you're out there drinking beer, getting ready to watch the soccer game or whatever, every time I make a mistake, you can take a drink. That'll be a good game for you all to play right there. Guaranteed to be drunk by
So
the
we're
end
drinking
of the
water.
night. So
We're drinking water.
I only got to take about 3 drinks already. But first of all, we're going to talk with Jessica. Jessica doing a great job with St. Joe.
If I get younger and younger every season, so I told the girls and the families, thank you for rejuvenating something in me I so desperately needed.
It's so great to have you all in town, and you got when's the season? What's going on?
November 9th, we're rocking and rolling, and then about 2.5 weeks from there, we go live.
Cool. Man, it's hard to believe it's already basketball season and everything. Exciting. And you're still, of course, football. You got football. Are you hyped for tomorrow night?
Oh yeah, man. Like I'm hyped. First of all, for our community. You know, we've had some heavy hitters coming in town this season. And what's even cooler is to see the stadium packed, full of people, and the energy is amazing. So I know the guys are ready and revved to get back to it. So it'll be a show. It'll be fun.
So what we're going to do? What we got to expect tomorrow from James Madison? National powerhouse coming in there, but they're actually undefeated, aren't they?
Yeah, they're playing very well. At the end of the day, in the words of Owen Porter, you can line us up against absolutely anybody and we'll be ready to rock.
That's the quote of that. I love that quote, man. It's what it's about the football. They do play, so hopefully we got a good crowd tomorrow night. It's ESPN game.
Yeah, I just employ to everybody. You know, these are, just keep in mind, 17 to 22-year-olds. And they've pushed the reset button, so we need to do the same and get out and support home. This is home. We got to take care of home.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a bad thing about being a national televised team, game. I mean, it can be perfect tailgate. I mean, what better on a Thursday?
Now listen, I'm from Wisconsin, and we tailgate in -30. Okay, so at the end of the day, this is football weather, right? 30-degree difference between the morning and the evening.
With cheese curds.
You got that right. A good beer and cheese curds and a brat. You're good to go. So this is tailgate weather. This is football weather. We get out. We're here for it. Stay off 4 quarters. It should be a show, man. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be a real good time to get things started about tailgating. So the game starts, 7 o'clock tomorrow?
Yeah, 7 o'clock. So we're off of work. Everybody's gotten off of work. All those bosses out there, you didn't hear it from me, but it would be really, really nice to let everybody come in late or give them the day off on Friday. But yeah, 7 o'clock tip off, and it should be a good night. And how good for the conference? Let's say that. How good for the conference that we've got this in our division. This kind of football being
it's
played.
hard to top the Notre Dame, right? I mean, I got to tell you that
Touchdown Jesus.
Oh,
Hey, when they beat
picture?
Ohio State next year.
that was huge. That was huge. But this game tomorrow night, though, you can't understate it. I mean, this is a big game.
There's nothing like it. And just for those people listening, when we made the transition in conferences, and again, there's a lot behind that. But this is
love the Sun Belt,
this
though.
is
It's
phenomenal for our university.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. What conference at this level can you get this type of football, this type of camaraderie across the board in all sports, not just in football? It's rare. So this is what you
Good
want.
stuff. It's good stuff.
And well, tonight it all starts because you got soccer.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the big game with WVU. It doesn't get any bigger, at least for soccer anyway. Number 3 WVU. I mean, a rivalry and number 3 in the country.
I love it, but if they're not scoring touchdowns, it's hard, right? I mean,
Right. But guys, I mean, we're talking about top teams in the country.
it's amazing.
It's so matter of fact, right? We're having pizza and we're having wings. Oh, by the way, top teams in the country. So, when people say you choose a home, right? A university has to be a fit for you. And there is such high pedigree, athletes, students, competition, tradition in these small towns. So when people
Recruiting, it's her.
Oh, yeah.
and I'm mean behind the stove, baby. So
Yeah, we also got a great new baseball stadium, man. I've seen the pictures of that, the drone shots, man. It's just incredible.
Yeah, and I got to say this. Shout out to our administration for making that happen. We came in on the tail end of, will there ever be a baseball stadium? And to watch that come to fruition in less than 3 years is major. It's major for coaches. It's major for students. And our university, I like to say we're long and skinny. It's so easy for all students to get to everything.
Adrenaline from last year. They had a good campaign last year. You got the Lady Herd has a new coach this year. A lot of excitement there, new blood. And then, the Lady Herd softball team was incredible last year.
Absolutely. We try as a family to get out to as much as possible, but shout out to Dan Toney. You got your seasoned veteran who gets it, no highs and lows. He shows up every single season and ready to rock. Coach Kim, I think, is going to do a phenomenal job, especially with in-state recruitment. Let's take care of our back door. Right? And she's got the energy for it, and the kids really, really love her. And then softball, like how cool was it to play Alabama last season? You had people sitting on roofs. You had people in the Joan watching the game from across the street. So I don't know if people got the memo, but Marshall is where it's at.
Hey, it's really have a lot of excitement. And a lot of it started with your family coming to town. I mean, it's been exciting brewing ever since.
Yeah, how amazing are the Sabins? Let me say that. They're absolutely amazing, have been phenomenal to us. And let me say this, a lifeline that you can always call for advice. And I know for me, the First Lady title, I mean, let's be honest, guys, I'm a coach through and through. I'm a jock through and through. So when you get that title thrown at you, you're like, what do you do with this, right? But they've been amazing. And we got here and we hit the ground running. And as we spoke earlier, embedding yourself in a community, that's how you know that this is where you want to be and where you're supposed to be. So I got my kids here with me, and we're having fun in Huntington. There's a lot to do. We just left the gym, came over from the gym.
Well, tell us about the family. I mean, everyone knows Coach, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he doesn't really need an introduction. But tell us about the family and how you're, assimilating into Huntington and all the rest of that stuff.
Well, don't drink the water, because apparently you get pregnant 2 times in 3 years here in Huntington. We had a 10-year gap. And then we come here, both over the age of 40. We have 2 more children, but we've got Blaze, who is 7 weeks now. We've got Bo Barkley. Shout out to Saquon. Hopefully he hears this, but we've got Bo Barkley. He's 18 months. And we have BJ, who is 11 years, who looks like he's going on 18.
I think we should wave at Coach as he goes by here. It looks like the motorcade.
Hey, go Herd. We're on our way.
The motorcade's rolling out.
There it is.
So,
So yeah, it's been great. BJ goes to St. Joe's. And I'm even more proud to say as a mom, he's got all A's across the board. So shout out to his teachers.
There you go.
Basketball, and I'm looking forward to it. I like being in the same gym with my kid. That's sort of cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
That is cool. So, what is the one thing in Huntington that you found that you're like, oh, this is my spot, or this is really cool, or what is it? What has been your Huntington favorite thing?
I like the fact, and this has nothing to do with a tangible staple, right? I like the fact that I can call anybody for anything and I can find an answer. And if I don't know somebody, immediately I can find somebody that knows somebody, right?
No, that's true. Yeah.
And so that's the cool part, even with recruiting here.
Yeah.
Right? We have many different caliber of student athletes that come here, whether you're a Power 5 transfer, whether you came from a junior college, you came from a really big city. There's always somebody that can make it work here that makes it feel. This state and this city is a meat and potatoes. Boy.
You're not telling me nothing.
So if you want comfort food,
Yeah.
Huntington's the place to come. Yeah.
Well, Gator, what do you think?
Hey, I want to say, I do want to give a shout out real fast while we're here to Giovanni's. That's where we're at. We're down here at 20th Street, Giovanni's. Great food. I'd say they're probably going to have the big soccer game coming on here in a little bit. Come on down. We're going to be hanging out for a while. Sam Eplin's going to play some music here soon. But come on down and see us. It's a great night and it's a lot of fun.
Stewart's in the pizza, so we've got the food camp.
I got the food coming right now. The food looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Great pizza.
Yeah, it's a great place. Louisville and stuff like that. And so when I reached out to him, I was like, hey, man, what do you think about this? He was all over it. His birthday was yesterday, and he's in Mexico. So that's the reason he's not hanging out here.
Well, that sucks.
I was like, we're in. We're moving. We're coming to Mexico.
Right.
But, so I don't know. I'm not sure we could have got back to customs. But.
So what kind of excitement can we expect from your team this year? What kind of game do you play?
Oh, man. We are opening up at East Carter. We've got a pretty full schedule. Let me say this. When you take over a program who's been such a powerhouse like St. Joe, and, we had a lull there, and then myself, I want to give a shout out to Alyssa Hammond, who on the women's basketball side is a legend at Marshall, still top 5 in school history and rebounding. So phenomenal to have her on my staff. My other assistant, Tarek Thomas, played football for Coach Pruitt. Years, but he's a girl dad, so it's nice to have him on staff. And we've got some really special kids coming in, and I want to say this publicly because when these wins start stacking up, we did it the right way. Let me say that. And we got kids that came back to St. Joe, but we have lineage kids. We have kids whose parents went to St. Joe. We have kids whose aunt or big sisters played at St. Joe, and then they came back. So you're gonna see some names that you're going to recognize. We're going to be able to shoot the ball. And I'm going to pray that we're able to.
Good thing that, for you and Mike to actually talk about too. Tell me about this. I'm going to call it the high school transfer portal.
Oh.
Tell me what you think. Mike's a state senator, right? So Kanawha County, Logan, Boone, those counties, some of those schools have, some of those schools are really doing well. Some of those schools are really not doing well.
Really not doing well.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts?
I'm just going to take it from the collegiate perspective. Someone I was a college head coach for 16 years, and then, I'm back in it at the high school level. Number one, it feels really good to be back at the grassroots level. As far as the transfer portal goes, we come from a different perspective because we're a very blue-collar family. I believe if you build it, they'll come. I don't think that'll ever change, right? And so we come from the perspective of you center it around your community. Every community doesn't function that way. I think the purity of high school sports is still there. I think we have to do a better job, and I have no problem saying this publicly, at putting adults, meaning coaches and administration, in places that do right by kids. And so we got to have some patience in high school athletics as well.
So I agree with everything she just said there.
Yeah.
Which is, it's not only about kids having a choice as to where they play. And if you have great coaches, they'll want to be there. I also think there's academic freedom as well.
There you go.
I think we need to carry this across the board beyond athletics to just every aspect that involves students. And the focus ought to be students. Focus ought to be students. Now, we ought to have some parameters around.
But St. Joe is, where we are academically. I mean, last year we had over $3 million in scholarship dollars that had nothing to do with athletics. So it is really nice to be able to say that you're in one of the top academic schools in the state. By the way, I happen to be an athlete, and that's never going to change. I'm the first person to tell anybody, athletics has done phenomenal by me and my family. But the books is where it's at. And God forbid injuries or anything else occur. I think we're missing that. I think a lot of families are missing that your kid is more than an athlete.
Yeah, I agree.
And we live this. It can be so short-lived. So academically, make sure we have some integrity.
Well, I know that you've done a bunch of different coaching, not just athletics, right? So I see that different athletic programs have been bringing you in to kind of set the mood, if you will, for season kickoffs and things like that. But you're doing some other coaching and stuff like that as well. You want to talk about that?
Absolutely. Through the Jessica Kern Foundation, which is my foundation. Let me be honest to all my female coaches out there. So I needed to run camps to bring in revenue to keep coaches. And then it manifested itself into life coaching, motivational speaking, and it's become international, which I'm really grateful for. And so now I'm honored to go in to speak to companies and teams, really about team dynamics and how you get the most out of your employees, how you get the most out of your athletes. If you're less talented, underpaid, overworked, how can you still get the best out of a product? And so I'm having a blast at it. And it's been able to serve communities. We've been able to give scholarships every single year through the foundation. I came from that blue-collar family in Milwaukee. A kid should be able to graduate. There shouldn't be $1,000 that stops you from walking across the stage. And so I was able to stay true to myself while my husband can continue to do what he does.
Mike, I think we need to send her to Charleston to try to get the best out of those guys in the Senate. What do you think?
I'm in. Let's do it.
Do you think we can just stay to the state, have a pre-game?
Well, I love hearing this, right? The idea of motivating folks and for the right purpose. And we need to hear more about this and how you started it. And I think it's fascinating.
Listen, the last 3 years, God, look at our country. We don't even have to go red and blue and left and right. We don't even have to go there. Just where we are as a country right now. Grocery shopping alone. My God, right? There was a post out the other day and said, I don't want to party like it's 1999. I want to grocery shop like it's 1999. You know what I mean? And so people, I could care less what walk of life you're in. You're still looking for that joy. You're still looking for that one thing that gets you out of bed and say there's a purpose on my life, right? And I just happen to coach in the process. Coaching is nothing more than motivating young people and putting a puzzle piece together and everybody fits where they're supposed to. That's it.
It's leadership.
That's it. Yeah.
Mike, anything you want to add to that?
Oh, there's so many things I could talk. Listen, I'm a kid from a holler in Barber County, right? So I've been fortunate to be surrounded by some great coaches, great leaders, great teachers who were great leaders. But it does take a great team to be able to get this done. And ultimately, I love your point, which this doesn't boil down to right or left, right? Everything's become so punitive in terms of whether it's politics or whether it's become very punitive. But ordinary their families, I think that's far more important than how we fight back and forth on some of these ideological issues.
You're totally right.
Yeah.
It kind of all starts in the schools too. That's what I like about having both of you here. It starts in the school system. We got to start education. Sports teaches our kids to be competitive, to be winners. And then taking it on, it's got to start.
And it's the lessons you learn from that. I still remember being a kid, middle school. I was not a great basketball player. But I still remember that year where there weren't enough uniforms for everybody, and the coach said, hey, does anybody volunteer to give their uniform to one of the starters? I probably made the team as a result of volunteering to give my uniform to one of the starters.
Living to serve.
They gave me opportunities later because they saw that it was beyond. I was interested in more than just myself. And so I think sports is one of those areas where we teach great life lessons for young people.
I totally agree with that. And you know, to me, athletic, do what haves versus have-nots. When you strap up,
It's bridge building.
it's all even kill. We
Yeah.
put our shoes on and pants on the exact same way. And I love that. That's like the lesson sports teaches. It doesn't matter what you came from, right? When the whistle blows, the clock sounds, all even kill.
Now, I will say I do miss so I'm one of those guys who grew up loving college athletics, college football in particular. And I sort of miss the old days when it was less business oriented and there was something different about it, right? The game has changed a lot. The pressures of winning are far different today than they used to be.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll just, talk about the pink elephant in the room, NILs.
Yeah, NIL,
Right.
transfer portal, these are tough things.
Well, this is the thing. There's a conglomerate called the NCAA, and we love them dearly. Everything is a business. Everything. Understand athletics. I need you to know that it is still all a business. I was in the day and era that I worked camps to make extra revenue in the summer because my dad was like, listen, you got to pay your car insurance. So I got to figure it out, right? But now it has turned into this monopoly. And I think here within the next couple of years, you're going to see us reel it in a little bit because there's still young people. There's still young people, and they're maturing at a very fast pace because there's a lot more being thrown at them than what typical amateur athletics
It
was.
wasn't fair enough for student athletes before. It should have been better, but I think we've swung so much. You look at the USC quarterback, God bless him, but he lives in a penthouse in Los
Yeah.
Angeles, right? I
Yeah.
mean, he's not going to get the same college experience
Right.
as the other kids on that campus, and great for him. I just think there's something missing.
Well, I'm going to play the mom role, right? Then I'm going to take the coaching hat off, and I'm going to play the mom role, and this kid doesn't get drafted, and this kid gets hurt.
Yes.
This kid goes from driving a Bentley to driving a Civic. So do you wait till you're 21 to have a life conversation? That's my question, right? Are we still setting young people up for success, or do we have to make sure they find the happy medium? And what amateur athletics typically does, it makes you trust the process. You have to go through a freshman who had to figure it out. You got to be the sophomore who learns how to budget and wants to work their way on a roster. That's what it taught.
No, and I love the idea. I love that.
Yeah.
And there's never any going back to that.
Well, and I think that brings back to what we talked about in Huntington and why this place is so special is because I'm telling you, I'm a Penn Stater through and through. There are some things you get here through financial.
Nobody's perfect.
We are. I didn't know that was going to be a thing until right now, but we are, right? But I'm saying that to say, like, you get the financial literacy here one-on-one. So you're prepared and understand what you have to go through. You understand being a big fish in a little pond, so the responsibility that comes with supporting your community. You get things here that you may not get at a larger institution, So that's the one blessing. That is really one blessing.
Gator, why don't you talk for a minute, and we'll let Miss Jessica eat her food. We'll get Sam to go
Trying to lose
around,
weight, this is not
all that
helping.
fun stuff. I think you can grab your guitar. Yes.
We'll play some music, Sam. We got Sam Eplin, man. I tell you, great kid from Barbersville, great young man. It took the internet by storm, literally. It got how many plays are you up to now, Sam? On
Facebook?
yeah,
1.7.
Oh my goodness.
1.7 million plays for a young man from Barbersville, West
I need
Virginia.
him to write a song for my campaign.
You heard it here first.
Oh man! So when Sam's getting warmed up over there, she got Sam, what's your next show around here? You played. I know you recently played in front of 5,000. Clay Center tomorrow up in Clay, West Virginia. Charleston, outside. Okay. Get the gator out of Huntington and hit it. Here it is.
This song's called Songbird.
Sam Eplin.
I can feel my stomach clawing up and out my mouth. I ask the air to catch me as I whisper and I pray. Songbird, fly away. I never had a tether in this endless sea of blue, and I never had a problem hurting anything but you. But no matter how it hurts me, still I'm carrying on my way. Songbird, fly away. And I cannot pretend that I have always kept my word, but everything said, songbird, fly away. Both my wings have bolted and my feathered head is hung, but the beauty of my listen calls have made you drunk with love. If you could understand me, you would sober up and say, songbird, fly away. Can't you hear me telling you to turn your head and say, songbird, fly away.
Find your music.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Music, anything you look me up on, I will be there. So under Sam Eplin, EPLIN.
And people can get tickets for your place there.
I don't know if it's a ticketed event, but you all can definitely come on, hang out. I'll be playing for about 2 hours. So, all right.
Man, his voice just gets to me every time. I love that song. I've seen him play about half
Thank
a
y'all so
dozen
much.
times. Oh, man, he's just a tremendous young talent. Great thing about Huntington, it's such a thriving music scene, so much talent. I mean, we've had Corduroy Brown on the show. There's just so many different performers around here. It's just amazing.
Yeah, just the other day when we were talking to Alan, to Corduroy, we were talking about Sam, and he was commenting about how, he felt Sam was the future of the, of the music scene here, and and I was sharing the story that that I told you earlier. The first time I heard him play, I was like, wow, we were just stumbling out, and he started playing. It was his first show ever, and I was just totally impressed. So, Sam, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for
And you can't. I mean, it's not a bad.
home runs.
Dave,
Home runs.
so-
Thanks a lot, Sam. Appreciate
Hey,
you.
everybody.
You know that whole scene down in Nashville where they have all the live music? I just think it's a remarkable thing, right? So a lot of people don't realize this. More cranes over in Nashville today than any city in America.
Wow.
What do the cranes mean? Growth, jobs, economic opportunity. And a lot of it centers around music. It's not just country music, it's all sorts of genres of music. And I've always thought Huntington, Charleston would be a great little corridor right here for live music events. I've always thought we've missed the mark in terms of trying to make sure we have that cultural hub in terms of encouraging live music. We have great musicians from this region.
Agreed.
And it'd be just a great thing. I always thought of it as little Nashville. Like we could build that real cultural pocket of
Coach Huff was at Vanderbilt, and I was at Tennessee State University, so we were there in Nashville. One of our first dates at Printer's Alley in Nashville. And it's a phenomenal community of that, like literally going anywhere to get live music.
Yeah.
And most of it is local artists. And it's a great vibe. I think we've got that environment here. And especially like in the summers with outdoor music and the water. And I agree.
and cowboy boots and cowboy hats.
That part. Hey, Coach Huff got married in cowboy boots.
Yeah.
Tell you that. So yes, yes, he showed up and I said, okay, that's what we're doing.
So
All
I got
right.
a closet filled. I got a bunch of pairs of cowboy boots, but I don't wear them that often because not that many people wear them around West Virginia. But I love cowboy boots, cowboy hats. I do. I love the whole.
Yeah.
I just think West Virginia could adopt some of these new traditions. And so moving forward, like the word is cowboy hats and live music and I love the whole scene, right? I think we're built for this type of thing.
Mike, I think if you win the Attorney General's race, you should wear a cowboy hat every day. I'm sure you'll get a badge, right?
I love that stuff. Listen,
Yeah.
I always wanted a badge when I was U.S. Attorney. My kids at Christmas time, because it didn't come with a badge at first. So
That's
I loved
great.
it. Yeah, I loved it.
That's great. Well, Jessica, you told me 6:45, and it's going to be bedtime. So what?
We're doing so much. We're having so much fun. Maybe,
You're welcome to
fun.
stay as long as you want.
I think I can squeeze another 15 minutes. It looks like they're eating cheese pizza over there and
Okay,
doing fine.
I did not want to get in trouble and be the guy that was responsible for messing up bedtime. So, my kid's 26 years old. She doesn't care at all what I have to say about going to bed. So, well, I guess we've gone through all of the fun stuff in Huntington. That thing in Huntington, what would it be?
Share the wealth. I think share the wealth. We have so many small businesses here that I think are sort of awesome. I'll go from a retail component. We've got so many small boutiques and small business owners who can feed your need, get you exactly what you need. They're a text away, a call away. Share the wealth. We have so many open real estate downtown Huntington that needs to be occupied, right? Because that's the sell. That's the sell. So I think share the wealth in regards to how small business in the door to so many people. If you're proprietary to what we need, right? So that's the one thing I would say. Pay it forward and share the wealth. I would love to see Huntington continue to grow. I think we have the real estate to grow in many different ways. Again, we're a college town. We need to know that, accept that, and to keep young babies here. We've got to have the businesses to keep them here. And then let's pour into our local businesses. Yes, I get it. We can hit the road and go to many places, but we got a lot of good people here that sell a lot of good things. We're eating great food right now at a great establishment. So let's do that. Let's pay it forward and utilize what we have here. And a very small market in a very large way. And so that's what I'd say. Just pay it forward across the board.
Wow. Good answer.
I think there are some great things happening here. Like I was at the grand announcement yesterday of the medical center and all the hospitals joining together, right? The new buildings that are popping up. These are great for morale in the community. And I know Huntington, views it's a city of and by itself, but I view that Huntington-Charleston corridor. That's a huge corridor.
Oh, yeah.
How many people live between Huntington and Charleston? And then you measured city, it's a good-sized town.
Yeah.
Right? And so I just think there's all upside at this point. I've said this for a long time. I'm a buyer when it comes to Huntington and the Charleston markets. Right? We went through a tough period of time. But I do think we turned the corner on all of that. And I think there's a lot of good leadership in place, a lot of good things that are pushing forward right now, and a lot of long-term investment. Yeah, I think it's good stuff.
And I would actually employ to young people. The job market. When I came out of undergrad, I was looking to get into my field. I was a journalism major. I minored in sociology. Right?
Cool.
The irony.
She's living my dream.
Right? But I got into a market that welcomed me, right? When you're a graduate from here, or whether it's WVU or whatever the case is, get in where you fit in. If you have the ability to stay here and monopolize on a market and make a good living and make a good salary and stay here, do it. I would give that word of advice to a young person.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was one of those guys that sort of moved off because of circumstance and jobs and education and that type of thing. But you know what? I got to the point where I was living to wake up, to drive to the train, to ride the train, to catch the subway, to get to work. We're talking 2 hours every day out of my life in the morning. And you add the evening to that, it was crushing. Yeah. The quality of life in a place like Huntington, West Virginia, oh my goodness.
Well, I explained to my son, and he's 11, where we're not talking about coal anymore. We're talking about engineering and mining underground that makes this thing go. You want to know what university leads the state in that? This one right here.
No, that's pretty.
So being a young person that can do that, you're an engineer, kid. On paper, you're an engineer. But you got to do it in a place that is proprietary to right here. So I just think that's sort of kind of cool.
Yeah, I think
you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I love all of that.
Yeah.
Gator?
Hey, I come from a railway
We're sitting there talking
family.
between-
Oh, railroad family.
He's like watching a tennis match, back and forth, back and forth. So,
Yeah. That's like Wisconsin and the breweries. You know what I mean? It's who we are. It's what we know, right? So it's a market for us that keeps the economy going, and especially in cities that hit some hard times. How do you fit in a market that needs you? That's what I just think it's something that young people, they got to bank on it. You got to know that.
so Mike, I'm going to make you answer the same hard question I just asked her. You've got some experience in Huntington,
Yeah.
you know, and if you could fix one thing in Huntington, what would you fix?
Well, listen, I'm somebody from the crime background. Not that I was a criminal, but I think it's important that we provide opportunities for young people so they don't turn to crime, right? Often it's boredom that drives them into crime. The drug issue, that epidemic, it's not unique to Huntington. It's a national problem. I think these folks walking our streets carrying backpacks, I get concerned about that type of thing. I get concerned about some of these influences that are out there. And I think we've got to focus on our growth side of things. And so I think it's important we deal with sort of that criminal element and make sure that we've got control. Not that many years ago, we had Operation Saigon Sunset here when I was U.S. Attorney. Heck, we had 250 law enforcement officers on the streets, including National Guard, targeting 100 defendants, selling what? Heroin, fentanyl, cocaine, you name it, they were selling it. But I think we turned a corner. It's not where it needs to be, but I think it's getting better. And at that time, I reached out to the Marshall president and said, hey, can I use an academic institution? It's an economic engine, too. And so what I think we need to do is empower the community to grow economically. We've got to manage crime, and we've got to manage some of those statistics that are difficult for our communities. And we've got too much poverty. And so we've got to make sure that we're fighting for those jobs, small business. Like, we're great at celebrating that huge company that comes in. We don't spend enough time celebrating that small business that's providing for their family year round, year after year, generation after generation. I think of one business downtown Huntington. It's the best tie shop I've ever been at. And you can go to Brooks Brothers, or you can go to, I think, is it called, you want a good tie? Go to Wright's.
Right.
It's fantastic.
right.
And what do you get there? You get folks that when you walk in the door are going to give you personal attention. They've got a higher quality of tie than I've seen. I hate wearing ties, but when I wear them, I like to wear a good tie. And so I'll say that's what's unique about towns like this, or places like Wright's and other small businesses. I love those big businesses, but small business is how we run.
And I also want to say this. I think if you're from here, if you're local, sometimes you get up in the rigmarole of you think it's only happening here. We're just not a Sydney magnified times 3 times 5, right? The issues that we have here in Huntington are the same issues that you have in major cities. We are just smaller in overall population, so it's magnified to a degree. The one thing President Smith is doing, if you build it, they'll come. That's a perfect example. Looks for a university to literally spread its wings and continue to grow. And so
I don't live here every day, and so that balance between the community and the school, right, that's important. But I think they do that pretty well here in terms of Marshall and the city of Huntington working together on issues. But I'm interested in your perspective on that. Like, how does it work? Not every town does that very well.
No, they don't. And I think the one thing that you can see here, and it's a visual representation because of our city size. You can see when new buildings are going up. You can see when things are becoming the hot spot, right? So let's again, pink elephant, you talk about gentrification. Different here because there's only so many places that we can grow. The city's the size it is, the university's the size that it is. So when you talked about just a poverty mentality, how can we beautify, right? So are you talking gentrification or are you talking beautification? It's a very thin line here in this city, right? I think we're doing a good job at that. Now, again, there's a political year and people are running for office and what is going to be your ploy and what are you going to do? That's a whole nother conversation for another day. But the impact, again, going back to that, how you can make so quickly in a city of this size, Try to do it in a big city.
No, so I agree with that. So
Yeah.
it's the size of the cruise ship, right? Making a cruise ship change direction a lot harder than our ability to change direction. Question is the political will.
Yeah.
Right? Do we have the political will to do these types of things? Are we going to make the types of investments that we have to make?
Yeah.
Infrastructure-wise, we've made quite a few investments, but we're still a far way away from where we need to be. We need to modernize all these towns.
I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. But I tell you one thing, cost of living. I've been really lucky to work with quite a few Marshall students who have helped me and my family. Obviously, we've expanded. We've needed some hands. And I'm the first to tell a young person coming out of undergrad, you look at the cost of living here, and you look at overall cost of living in a major metropolitan city. You can either save your money at 21 or you can save it at 41. The choice is up to you. Yeah.
Yeah, it is amazing.
All right, guys, this is Alligator Jackson. If you're just tuning in, we are down at 20th Street Giovanni's. Live, our first live event for Talk Huntington. Mikey and I's down here. There's still time to come on out, man. We're down here with Mike Stewart, Jessica Huff. We had Sam Eplin here.
And I tell you, this is more exciting than talking about politics, right? I spend a lot of time, like I'm on the road all the time, traveling this state. It's a big state. I'm running for Attorney General. It's a tough race.
Yeah.
And more fun to talk about Marshall football. We have a huge soccer game tonight. Who would ever think in West Virginia we would have the number 1 and number 3 teams playing? Not only 1 and 3 in West Virginia, 1 and 3 in the country, right? This is big time. The whole country's watching this soccer match tonight. Now, I'd like it if they were scoring touchdowns rather than goals.
I hear you.
I don't know who watches anything. It takes 2 hours and it's 1-0, right? I just don't get it. But I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
And tomorrow, people all over the country will be watching. Going on right over there tomorrow.
Yeah, right across the street. I saw the trucks out.
Yep, the media is out there. They're already stuff you live for. If you're a student, a Marshall student, even if you're a JMU student and you're coming in, I promise you, as the old woman now, and I look back, that was the jam. The whiteout games, the theme games, sitting in the student section, being crazy loud, like forcing turnovers for the other team because they can't hear. Like, it matters. It really, really matters. And I'm gonna say this: we tailgate here like something I've never seen in my life. I promise you that. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be great.
Surprised they haven't started now.
Well, we have night classes.
Game.
Yeah, we have night classes. So we got to wait till night class students head out and then tailgaters head in. Yeah.
Well, I got nothing to do between now and then, so might as well.
I've done a bit of tailgating in my life.
I have a feeling.
Yeah.
So that you're gonna have to admit that you're a mountaineer.
Between the two. I still remember that. I'm old enough to remember 1992 and the Youngstown State game for the national championship. And I was growing up in Morgantown at the time. I set my clock to make sure I was in front of that TV, and every time there was a score on our side, I was excited by it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I still celebrate that. Till I moved later in life to Charleston, I had no idea there was this little bit of rivalry. But I love seeing it. I think the universities are working pretty well together today.
I agree. I totally agree with that.
Well, Jessica, I really appreciate you coming out and spending time with us this evening and keeping the kids up a few extra minutes. It's good for them.
Yeah, what is sleep these days?
Right.
We don't do sleep.
Yeah, especially that little one. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if I can say this before I leave, I am
anything you want.
so grateful for Huntington. And I say that to say, and I know people say our fans are tough. Guys, we are beings to this community. And so when I say this is home, this is home. The good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent. We show up toes to the line and we live to fight another day. So I say that I would love to see everybody come out tomorrow. These young men deserve it. We're here for it. We're here for it. And I'm glad this is home. So I'm very grateful that you had us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, it's great to have you here.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on today. And I'll tell you the one thing that we really need more than anything is the WVU versus Marshall football.
Again, you heard it right here. Yes.
So I didn't hear that. What did he say?
We need a WVU Marshall game and to get that thing going.
That's going to be your campaign promise. We're going to get us a big game. I was at the one when WU came over here. It was great. A lot of excitement.
So I want to, again, thank you so much. And I want to talk to you a little bit. So
We're down here at Giovanni's on 20th Street. The game's going to be coming on soon. Soccer game. Number 3, WVU versus number 1 in the country, Marshall University Thundering Herd.
Gator, if you want to just, carry us for a couple minutes while we do a little change. And
Okay. All right, Richard. 1, 2, 3. Nice. There we go. All right, just having a blast down here. It's a wonderful evening. It's going to be a beautiful evening tomorrow, too.
this has turned out all right.
University.
For first take, we've been doing all right.
Take on Thundering Herd.
So-
They're undefeated. They're coming in undefeated.
The
So it's going to be great to knock somebody out from the ranks of unbeaten. Of course, it's a big Sun Belt Conference game. Tonight, though,
Yeah.
all the excitement in town with a soccer game. Marshall, number 1, and number 3, WVU.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. We're going to talk about it all.
Tonight, down bar none.
We've got almost an hour to do.
So hopefully it's a good celebration party. I may swing by there myself. Austin's really, he's a great young man. He's really into this modern country sound that he's going to be doing in the acoustic set down at Bar None. And he get an opportunity. And Sam Epton is just here doing his Songbird at 1.7 million plays on Facebook. Sam definitely one of the young talents rising up in our area. So a lot of things to do coming up this week. We're heading deeper and deeper into fall.
We'll let you eat, Mike, if you So, Mike's giving away 3/4 of a pizza down there. So,
I mean, what are you going to be doing here for the what's campaign?
So the campaign's tough. So the campaign's every night, working hard. 55 counties in a state like West Virginia, one of the largest geographic states in the country. It's tough. And we got good candidates. So I remember, so I'm a Republican running, but I remember the days where if there was one Republican running for Attorney General, that was a lot. Like, you had trouble finding them. Now we've got multiple candidates in every race, and you spend your time traveling across the state. I'm a family guy. I love, like, college football, too, and you have to sacrifice a lot for these races. It's difficult.
So is it safe to say for the next year you're going to be out there on the road?
Well, at least through May, right? May 14th is the primary. And we're out there working it hard. But I got to say, tonight, this is a lot more fun than a traditional campaign night. And a lot of folks don't get to see us in like in an informal setting. Like, they don't get to see that we're real people.
That's where you get the real info from instead of just what you want
So I got
to
to say,
sell
I think
to
it's
people.
more, so issues come and go, right? I think ultimately who you decide. But you also want to know it's a real person, right? And so I'm one of those guys. I was born and raised in West Virginia, the hills and hollers. Dad was a coal miner for 51 years. My grandpas were both coal miners, and I bleed West Virginia. I love it. And so I had the opportunity under President Trump to be the U.S. attorney. I love the work I did here in Huntington. I don't know if there was a U.S. attorney. In fact, I was told this before by a chief of police here in Huntington. No U.S. attorney had gone to the police department more than I had. And I tell you, we changed things too. My very first trip here, I couldn't get in the front door of the Huntington Police Department. It was locked. It was a Wednesday morning, and I saw a guy reporting. I was like, I don't know. I can't get in the front door either. But a lot of things have changed since then. Not perfect. We've made some improvements. Before COVID, we had a lot more improvements. COVID set us back a bit. But I've loved serving here and working in the Huntington community. Why? Because it's a very vibrant community filled with great people.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's a community that just wants, it's one of those surviving communities that always is seeking something better.
Oh, yeah.
So I've always enjoyed that. And I'll say all those activities I had here in Huntington, there was never anybody who said, don't do that, don't fight. So I loved it. Perhaps I was a little intense at times, but you have to be intense if you want to win from a law enforcement standpoint. And am I tough on criminals? You bet I am. Prison overcrowding's build another prison. But I get it. Not everybody thinks that way today. Everybody wants second chance of redemption. Just throw them back on the street. But that doesn't do anything to fix our problems.
Yeah, we were talking about, as we were setting up in here, and I was telling you a story that was going on my website today, on my webpage, Facebook page, Alligator Jackson's Inside Huntington. And I was talking about this habitual criminal that had, of course, he's probably close to 20 arrests, but his last 2 arrests, both felonies, they went on and they let him do the little drug rehab. Did like a 30-day program, and then out of a sober living house, and immediately it goes back and is on the street. Well, he got arrested the other day, and I'm thinking, okay, here's a guy, he's facing a felony, credit card, he's on $30,000 bond right now up in West Regional Jail. What do we do with a guy like that, Mike?
Well, I can say this. If you're arresting him 20 times, how about on that time where he gets out and he kills somebody, right? And you
Exactly.
I believe in redemption and second chances, but it shouldn't take 20 times to get there. Criminal justice, in fact, I'd say this, the criminal justice system failed that young man, right?
Yeah.
Because there ought to be some redemption.
He's
to
counting
it.
on getting out.
Right,
He just
so he's
figures
playing
gonna
the
play this
system, and the
again.
system's playing him.
Yeah. I'm an addict, please
And these
help
sober
me. I
homes,
can't
right?
help
Yeah.
myself. I can't help myself.
Yeah.
But then he's back out, and we're the ones. And this kind of thing, we had a little blackout here, but this is the kind of thing where it keeps on going until somebody gets hurt or killed.
So I think we got to focus on the public safety, people, and making sure they're safe and they're protected. And it's one thing to believe in second chances, and like I said, I fundamentally believe that, but there's a proper place for the penal institution and putting people behind bars. I think you ought to be able to walk the streets of Huntington without worrying about being assaulted or worrying about somebody selling drugs to your kids. And it's pretty simple. And so I don't think this whole special interest that want to just open up the prisons. Why? Because they don't want to pay for the prisons. And I'll say this to the grandma out there that gets assaulted. Before I was U.S. Attorney, it was interesting. I drove around Huntington in my truck because I wanted to understand the challenge. It was far worse back then. It's still not where it needs to be. I'll say an upward economy, a mobile economy. Marshall's doing great here. I think the economy's doing a bit better. It makes everything better. And it drops crime whenever the economy's doing well. And so, best thing we can do to deal with crime, make sure we have a good, vibrant economy. But those perpetual criminals, they need to be behind bars.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Hey, we've been joined by another guest. I'm going to send it back to Mikey. He's going to let us know what's going on.
Hey, man. So I want to introduce my friend, Ashley Stennett. Faced around town these days for being an actor. And Ashley just wrapped a movie. He was just telling me about a new premiere that's coming out. It was filmed here. John Schneider, that Dukes of Hazzard fame and all the rest of the stuff. And they filmed that. And there's another production that I saw a clip for last night that they filmed in Hurricane. It was completely there. And if those two things, Haunted Tales from Appalachia, is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
And he's been doing the book signing tours around the state here lately. And this morning, I came in. I had a coffee meeting at Grindstone over here, and I walked in, and the guy's sitting there with the hat on. It says West Virginia Film. I was like, "Hey, man," I said, "You have something to do with film in West Virginia?" And he's like, "Yeah." He said, "We're actually I'm out of Fairmont. Our company's in town. We're shooting a commercial down here for tourism today." I was like, "Out at Beach Fork?" And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "My buddy Ashley Stennett was just talking about that." He goes, "Yeah, all 3 of his kids are in the commercial." So I was like, "Oh wow!" So pretty much Ashley's everywhere. If if you can think of it, Ashley's in it. When you open up the sales flyer in the mail, Ashley and his kids are going to be in it. When you go watch the TV, he's in it. His name's on every restroom and rest stop up and down 6. That's a different story.
And I still
totally different, something different.
And I still don't have the social media following like this guy does. It's going to take a while to get on this guy's level right here. So
I'll tell you what, man, I'm
coming to checking in on my my hometown there, I'm like, wait, I need to check on what's Gator got going on down there.
You had me at Haunted Appalachian Tales. I mean, I'm still stuck back, and I'm thinking Mammy Thurman's got to be in that, isn't she?
Well, so there's you remember the old book, The Telltale Lilac Bush?
Yeah,
Came out
yeah.
probably 50s, 60s. That was kind of inspiration for the book. And, growing up as a kid, I always loved, Mike and I were talking about this earlier, the old campfire style ghost stories, haunted stories. So that's kind of where the inspiration of that came from. And so the book, it's Flashlight to the Head, yeah.
Are these scary stories
Yeah.
or just
These
haunted stories?
these are a mix of everything.
My guilty
from
pleasures.
demon possession, werewolves,
The entire state of West
zombies.
Fiction or nonfiction? Is this
This is-
based on
This is
nonfiction?
totally fiction.
Oh, fiction.
Totally
Okay.
fiction.
But I
Okay.
will, but I will add some clarity to this. Some of the stories were inspired loosely based on true stories, legends that I had heard handed down. And you asked about West Virginia. Some of the stories are West Virginia, but it is Appalachian based. So Tennessee, Virginia, Kentucky, southeastern Ohio, kind of that
There are
whole.
multiple stories or one story throughout the whole book?
It is 40 different stories spread out over 13 chapters.
Wow.
That's correct.
40 different stories. And some of
13
them,
chapters. I saw what you did there.
13 chapters, right? So, some of the stories are a little lengthy. Some of them are super short. So they're campfire. Growing up, working in acting, just a weird, crazy imagination. I thought, I love the scary stuff. I like the horror genre, and I thought, I come up with all these wild ideas.
The horror side is cool.
Yeah, I come up with these ideas. I'm like, why not just turn them into a book? And so it took a while because life happens. So you start it and then you pause and then you start it and you pause, and with 3 kids. And
How long did it take you?
it took about a year and a half.
Okay, that's good. That's
About
good.
a year and a half, and that was from literally the first few words to it's now in publication. So now
drives my kids crazy on the horror movie thing. They'll pull up their streaming service that we share.
Yeah.
Right?
I love
They
it.
make me feel better with the stuff I deal with every day.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing, Mike. I run into people who are. It's like it's a very niche thing. People love horror movies. Some people don't. The Christian side of it, some people are like, I don't know how you can like horror movies and go to church. I'm like, because it reinforces your
There's different
faith.
types, right? Saw
There is.
versus The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Right? These are
And
different.
yes, and what happens in these demon possession movies? God usually wins.
Yeah.
The priest comes in and they usually win. And so for me, it reinforces my faith that it reminds me that there's supernatural evil that exists.
Bad news
There
for
we go,
West
yeah.
Virginia.
Right down, yeah.
Cool. 1-0.
1-0 Herd. Number one in the country, men's soccer.
Number 3.
So it reinforces, there's supernatural evil, and then there's man is capable of evil, something you deal with all the time.
Yeah.
And it reinforces that, and it reminds you that with that dark side, there is always the light.
Yeah, so my
There's
kids can
always a
finish
good
this
side.
line. What's the most evil animal
Yeah.
on earth? Human beings, right? Human beings.
Yeah,
Right? That's what's so fascinating about human
yeah.
beings.
And so, and it does. It actually, in a weird way, the horror genre reinforces my faith. I mean,
What to be doing what the Mannings do. How much do they get paid to just... Have you ever seen that Monday Night Football?
yeah.
They just sit on ESPN on their couch talking
Yeah.
about the game.
I'm kind of thinking we could have the same vibe. I mean, I don't even mind doing some color commentary
Yeah,
or
that's
something.
it.
Like
It's like Mystery Science Theater.
it is like yeah. There we go. Yeah.
But you really got my curiosity peaked. It's a great time of the year, certainly Halloween, to have this book out. Come on, you got to give us a little of a teaser, a little bit of a plot outline of one story. Tell us at least about one story here.
Reading, and I read from one story about an old man from Fayette County, and he was well known for his famous baked goods. And the name of the story is The Devil is in the Pudding. And so a new big bakery comes to town, very corporate-y, called Famous Mason's Pies. And they kind of take the town by storm. And the old man's real down about it because he's a mom and pop baker.
Yeah.
And he says, man, I would sell my soul to be able to have my business back again. And a few days after that, a strange knock at the door. And he basically says, you know, Frank, you can have your bakery back, but you got to do something for me. And so he sold his soul basically to have his bakery.
To Fayette County.
The devil went to Fayette County. The devil is in the pudding in Fayette County.
There's Charlie Daniels when you need him. Do the music for that. Hey, that really does sound interesting. That sounds
So where
like.
do they get your book at? Where do
So
people get it?
so you can right now you can buy my book pretty much anywhere books are sold online. If you just want to go into a bookshop, many of them around here carry the book. It's starting to branch out into other states. I just found out that Tamarack and some tourist stores in West Virginia are going to carry the book.
Oh, cool.
Which, you know, that's neat because it opens up to a new audience because it sounds weird, but you want people not from Appalachia to find the book and read about it to kind of draw them in. Yeah. And with the tourist industry,
Right?
it is,
Isn't it
yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
1 hour, 2 hour television shows.
Yeah. And I can, since Mike is traveling the state, I could have him like be my pitch man for the.
It might help me pay for my gas.
Because you're 55 county race.
Yeah.
People don't realize when you're running for the House or the state Senate.
I'm speaking to your target audience.
Yeah, there you go, man.
Yeah.
It's a 55 county race.
It's tough. It is.
Yeah, it's got to be. I mean, you're a road
You're
warrior.
living the dream, though. I'd love to sit back and write a book.
Well, maybe we can make that happen.
We've lived, right?
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And often, just like our families, like we don't know their real stories. And I say this all the time, like somebody passes away, and you're like, man, we should have written that down.
Yeah. Well, and Appalachia, you know, we are rich with folklore and, like you said, just family stories that have been handed down. You know, it's the content is never ending. It really is.
Yeah, I've got a.
Yeah, that was a fun movie to work on. So the name of the film is The Good Fight. It's a boxing movie. The guy that directed the movie, James Hawley, is actually from Huntington. Spends a lot of time in Nashville now. But it was really cool working with John Schneider for about 8 days. He was here in town, and I got to, I play the lead character in the movie, and he actually portrays my attorney. So we spent a lot of time together, even offset. He's just a great guy. And he's popular for the Dukes of Hazzard, but a lot of people.
Character, right?
He's a singer
too.
He's a singer, and a lot of people knew him from the show Smallville. He was Superman's father. Nuts. We were just going around to locations, and we were getting mobbed.
You put him in a Dukes of Hazzard car and see what.
Oh, Mark Maynard.
Mark Maynard.
Hey, I told
Did Mark get
John
him to sign the car?
Well, here's what happened. So I told John Schneider, I said, there's a state senator that has the General Lee. He goes, no way, what's his name? He said, call him right now, and he FaceTimed him.
That's awesome.
And Mark about had a heart attack over it. He loved it. So they ended up, I think they ended up exchanging numbers, and he's just a great guy. I've kept in touch with him since we've wrapped production. And, of course, tragically, his wife passed away recently.
And he liked West Virginia.
He loved West Virginia. He really did. He had a great time. And I do think the movie, I think people are going to enjoy the movie. I really do. And it was. The movie was shot in, Huntington, southeastern Ohio. Some of it was shot over in the Ashland, Kentucky area. So, and we had a ton of support from the tri-state area on that movie.
That's great.
And you can't go wrong with a boxing movie, man. Those things are always exciting. So you play a boxer?
Yeah, so it was pretty grueling. I was very fortunate. I had to train on how to box, how to fight, and it took
get
about.
hit?
Yeah, I got hit. I got hit.
Double?
No, I didn't. It's all me. It took me 8 months to learn how to be a boxer, and I learned you can't make a boxing movie without taking some shots. But in the process, and I was in phenomenal shape, throughout the production. Not so much now. I mean, I'm as evidenced by my plate over there here at Giovanni's. So, I'm pretty.
I think we have an update to the score. I think it's 1-1.
Yeah, it is 1-1.
It's 1-1.
We only update Marshall scores. What's the plot about a little bit? You got me really intrigued right now.
So I portray this guy. He's basically an eternal frat guy. He just never grows up. And down on his luck, he has a very bad drinking problem. He's losing his wife and daughter to alcohol, to the fact that he doesn't want to grow up. He doesn't want to, be a responsible adult. He works, but he's just not responsible. And he's a former boxer, and he's training some jail time in there. And so it is a redemption story. It's not, I will tell people, it's not a Rocky movie. Don't expect he is an underdog, but it's not a Rocky movie, but it's a pretty good redemption story.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good. It sounds like the good fight really means more than just being in there and boxing. It sounds like
It is.
There's an overall theme to the movie,
Yeah.
a moral thing.
Yeah, there really is. Yeah, it's truly it is a good fight outside of the ring, and for a number of the cast involved, a number of the characters involved. So I will be going to Nashville next month for like a private screening, so I will get to see that.
So is it going to be something that's going to be available here in Huntington?
So I'm not exactly sure. I do think there is a big premiere in the works.
Great.
I do know there's a lot going on behind the scenes with distribution. People, when you making movies is a long process.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine.
Just principal photography takes a long execution. It's kind of like, well, where can my neighbor watch this? But the good news is there are so many streaming platforms now.
Yeah, that's true.
It's the possibilities are almost
it's harder
limitless.
today to make money in the movie business, right?
Yeah,
'Cause there's
it
just
can
so
be.
Many.
So many
Yeah,
competition.
it can
So
be.
much competition.
Yeah.
But there are more jobs for people than ever before.
There really
But
are.
could West Virginia become like the center
Yeah,
of the film industry, right?
that's what we're.
we?
Hey, Appywood, we are trying to create Appywood, and a buddy of mine, we actually run a nonprofit organization now called Film Futures Foundation. Sorry, I'm shamelessly plugging that.
Appywood, I like that name.
That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get people trained up for this new emerging film industry.
Yeah.
This, the new economy from the film, because the state of West Virginia passed the film tax credit, and it's the biggest in the nation.
So if I lose
Thanks
this,
to, there might be, and a lot of people don't understand that. It was massively bipartisan. 31%.
it was. I think everybody loves the arts. Everybody loves
Yeah.
the arts. And I think we want to see it grow.
Yeah,
as
and
much
props
as
to
we
you
can.
for helping to make that happen.
Well, it was other people who made that
I know.
happen, but I still think we need
But-
to go bigger, right? I'm one of those people
Yeah.
that says go big or go home.
Yeah.
And I think West Virginia needs to invest to become the biggest. Like a lot of those films at the end, it'll either say Canada, it used to say Canada,
Yep.
or it says Georgia.
The Georgia Peach.
Georgia Peach.
And 15 years
and
ago.
I want to see that be West Virginia.
Yeah, and this is what I try to tell people all the time. 15 years ago, nobody was even talking about Georgia, and now all your Marvel movies are there.
Remarkable.
It's a $6 billion. We got to make it happen.
I think it's
There's no reason why we can't make it
I think
happen.
it's a home run.
The state of North Carolina, Wilmington. I was in Wilmington
Texas
for a while.
is making a big play right now.
Louisiana.
Yeah.
New Orleans is another one. Pittsburgh, which is an
Why the
Appalachian
heck
city.
would you want to be in Hollywood when you can be Think about the cost of operating.
Absolutely. And
California,
it is
all the taxes that they've got.
Yeah, and it's a rising tide lifts all ships. When a production is happening in a local town, all of the catering was local, and it's a high six-figure production. All of the local folks that got paid on that production, the catering, the businesses that got money, and that's what people need to understand is when films are happening, when movies are being made, it's not the actors and the director making all the money. It's all your local communities are getting a massive economic injection.
Yeah, hotels.
Car rentals.
Convenience stores, just get something to drink or something.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It'd be trade school as well, though, right? I mean, when we start talking vocational education, right? There's a lot of technical
production assistants, sound operators.
I've always thought, why aren't we bigger at this type of thing, right?
Well, you and I need to talk.
I'm a huge X-File fan.
You and I need to talk.
Huge X-File fan. But I always noticed the X-Files. Anybody who's listening that followed the X-Files or watching, it was always filmed in Canada.
Yeah.
And I said, wow, West Virginia looks just like where they're at.
Yeah.
What a beautiful place to film.
I got some bad news. You got better eyes than me. Is that 3-1 or 2-1?
So I got to be honest, my eyes are so bad I can't see anything up there.
We're all like
3-1.
3-1,
guys.
3-1, getting
WVU. Oh, that was going to reveal who's really cool. Oh, Mr. Linville has walked in the house.
Hey guys, how you doing?
How you doing, Daniel?
Good, brother.
How are you?
Oh, better not deserve, you know that.
Yeah.
What about you, Mike?
I'm good. This is more fun than the typical campaign night.
Oh man, I just wish something would happen up there.
Every night we could run the campaign from Giovanni's.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Very.
Travel places, right? More people watching.
Yeah.
Right? People tuned in. I've got good food, good pizza.
Yeah.
Right? If you want.
You can't beat the atmosphere. It's
Every other day we can have a horror movie for you.
That's
just have what is it? Shudder. Have Shudder up there on on streaming.
Like I love those movies. I don't know what it is. Like in fact, I fall asleep to those movies. Right? I put the timer on. Drives my wife crazy if I forget to turn off or to put on the timer.
Oh, I can't imagine that. She's waking up in the middle of the night.
She's like
3 o'clock in the
all
morning.
Screaming like, how am I supposed to sleep? How am I supposed to sleep?
With a chainsaw, yeah. I mean,
But I got into like the Saw movies.
My wife loves them. My wife loves the Saw movies.
Wow.
I think we have every single one of them.
For me, now I love a good scary movie. I like ghosts. I like all that type of thing.
Yeah.
Love a good alien movie.
Yeah.
Love all that.
Yeah.
Love it.
All right, guys. So you talked about movies. You've talked. So it's Talk Huntington, right? So Ashley, we ask the questions. You're a local boy now transplanted to Putnam County, but what's your favorite thing about Huntington, and that you miss being able just to do whatever, or the thing that is the must do in Huntington? What's your go-to?
Wow. The must do in Huntington. Well, I mean, you gotta experience Marshall in some capacity. I know a lot of people probably say that, but I'm a Marshall graduate. My wife was Miss Marshall back in the day, and they're really.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, you don't have to. Yeah, some of those rides could be out of a horror movie. I remember growing up going to like Midway, Smith's.
Oh yeah.
Frost Top.
I'm a Frost Top and Midway guy.
Yeah. Walking around Ritter Park. I used to, and I hate it that GD Ritzy's is gone, but I remember hitting up GD Ritzy's as a kid. I'm old enough to remember Cruise Avenue, although I wasn't always on Cruise Avenue.
Yeah.
But back in the day, like Huntington, the vibe was cool enough to where you could cruise around on a warm summer night with the windows down, and you're like down 4th Avenue.
Oh yeah.
A great part of Huntington for me was always the Keith Albee.
Yeah.
Being a movie guy, loved going to the theaters. Keith Albee, just historic. I used to love doing that.
Bob Dylan's the same age as the Keith Albee, isn't he?
Also, back in the day, the Huntington Blizzard and the Huntington Cubs.
Oh God, the
That-
Huntington
I
Blizzard,
just-
that brings back.
That was so much fun going to a Blizzard hockey game.
How did they get away from us? We used to get 3,000-4,000 people.
Yeah.
a
It was
game down
packed.
there. It was fun. It was
And-
beer.
and I
Everybody
wasn't
having
even-
a good time.
Yeah, and most people I knew weren't even like diehard hockey fans, but it was the coolest, no pun intended, atmosphere. And then the Cubs games, Huntington Cubs games,
I was looking
over at
at
old St. Cloud Common. That old ball field. I mean that
I was
that was
looking
just
at
So
some
the
Huntington.
one thing about Huntington is all of it.
the one thing about Huntington is like 50 different things I just named off.
Yeah.
It's,
I
and
got
it's
a
hard to
trivia
pin down.
question.
It's hard to pin down.
So I was bring up a good trivia question for you. I was looking at some Huntington Cub cards.
Oh,
tied
yeah.
in
And for the
New York
Giants.
Giants. He
For the
played
Giants.
For the Huntington Cubs. He played baseball.
No way.
He played baseball. I see his
Really?
baseball card. Yeah, you can look it up on
Wow.
Huntington
I didn't
Cubs.
know that. I didn't know Seahorn played for the Cubs. Wow. It's hard to figure out one thing about it. It really is. I mean,
So the last question, always the hard question. Said if you can fix one thing in Huntington, what is it?
the streets. Hal Greer, although they're trying to do that.
Sometimes I wonder if they're really trying to do that.
Do we have some local politicians around here that can weigh in on this? Do we have some Cabell County delegates lurking?
No.
That too loud or John Mant will pop up.
Yeah. Say his name 3 times. He pops up with a plate of lasagna.
Right now, it's Huntington. You know, one thing that I would like to fix, and it's Huntington, but Mike and I were talking, but it's the whole state really right now. We hear a lot of talk about economic diversification. And if I could wave a magic wand, everyone would understand the massive economic boom, and there would be universal film industry in the Mountain State. That would be one thing, but it takes buy-in from a city like Huntington, Charleston, Parkersburg, Beckley, Wheeling, Morgantown. It takes the total buy-in from all 55 counties.
You know what we need to see, though, the strategic plan for that. Like, what's the cost for that investment? Because I'm one of those folks, I love the idea of becoming like one of the film capitals in the country.
Well, hey,
and
look.
we make investments all the time that are horrible investments.
Oh, I've seen
i.e.
it
Forum
constantly.
Energy.
I
But
have
outside
seen
that stuff, right? I'm just saying. We invest in the garbage stuff here in West Virginia, the film industry.
I mean, it's wasteful spending. And now I have seen money get invested into things that are good for the state, but I've seen a lot that aren't. And when I look at North Carolina and when I look at Georgia, it's a $6 billion industry. Why can't we do that?
I lived in Wilmington, North Carolina for a little bit.
Yep.
You did too.
I did too, yeah.
And you were doing Screen Gyms, is that what's there?
Yeah, Screen Gym Studios, yeah.
And so, I mean, and that has transformed a city
Yeah.
that really was struggling. It's still, I mean, it's probably about as...
On the same thing, South Carolina. So that $300 million we wasted with Forum Energy, what would that have done for the film industry in the state?
Oh, it's a game changer. And these are blue-collar jobs that would be created. I mean, it's a complete game changer. The city of Pittsburgh has seen revenue to the tune of hundreds of millions, so
I'm
much
gonna
so
tell you right here,
they
this
built
is
a film.
important,
They built a soundstage.
The $300 million we wasted on Forum Energy, think about what that would have done to the film industry in West Virginia. It would have been a game changer.
Yeah. It would have been a game changer, and our nonprofit is trying to, we're partnered with the film office because these film productions need workers.
Yeah.
In order to get that 31% tax credit back, they have to hire 10 or more West Virginians on a production. But the problem is nobody's trained up.
And there's everybody from carpenters to mechanics to plumbers to
electrical, lighting, grip work, and then basic skill sets like
whatever.
Yeah, production assistants, sound operators, yeah. And and the great thing is most of these jobs you don't have to have a 4-year degree for.
And we wouldn't have to go to Pittsburgh to recruit them in. No, it'd be incredible.
Yeah.
Mike's already planning it out for bill drafting. He's like, when we stop, he's going to be texting somebody going, "Hey, I got an idea."
Yeah.
Hey, it's 3-2 now, so we're getting back in.
Getting back in. Nice.
Don't call it a comeback. Well, guys, do you think that we've had a pretty solid episode here? Do you feel like it's time that we can say, you know what, guys, it's been fun, it's been real fun, all that fun stuff?
Oh, yeah, it's been a great inaugural live event. It's the first one we've done for Talk Huntington. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys, man. I really appreciate it. I mean, I could sit here and talk all night long.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is great.
I think it's great.
Cool to
too.
do.
I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's great.
Spending some time with us this evening, and Gator, of course, for being the host. Mike from coming down and spending some time, and Ashley. So,
Appreciate
Gator,
it.
you got anything to add before we go?
I'm just sitting here watching this soccer game now, man. It's got me. I never thought. I tell you what, I would never, ever have guessed that I would.
And from Huntington, West
I
Virginia.
think all that's good, but they're
Never.
not scoring touchdowns.
Well, you know, for the state of West Virginia to right now be a soccer powerhouse between Marshall
That
and
is remarkable.
WVU.
It happened overnight.
That is remarkable. That really is. Yeah, that's a really cool thing to be able to say.
Well, we are sitting right across the street where it will all be going down tomorrow. The cameras of ESPN will be moving this time tomorrow. Right over there at the Joan, the parking lot will be full. It'll be Giovanni's will be full. All these local businesses through here will be full. James Madison University, ESPN Thursday night game. I can't wait.
And it's a critical matchup too. I mean, it is honestly a super important game for the rest of the season, and we need people to show up and show out.
So, Ashley, give me the plugs on, again, book, movies, all the rest of that stuff. Wrap it up for us.
Yeah, the book Haunted Tales from Appalachia. You can buy it pretty much anywhere books are sold online. If you want to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Ashley Stennett, and you can kind of keep up with book signings I'll be doing.
Give me a little bit of time, and I will put up the link to your new book on Alligator Jackson's Inside of Huntington.
I appreciate
Although
that.
that's
Get
more
that.
exciting,
I appreciate that.
I would say go to makewvgreatagain.com. Makewvgreatagain.com. Not hard to forget. MakeWVGreatAgain.com. It's one of the most remarkable websites you've ever seen in your life. It's great reading, not as good as ghost stories, but
almost,
it's great reading.
And I'll get you guys some Appywood swag. I've got stickers. That we have a store. We have an Appywood store that we launched, and maybe we can collaborate.
I like it.
All right, guys. Thanks so much.
I hear some
Thanks,
tax
guys.
breaks in there. So.